Welcome, everybody. Episode 27 of the latest, coming in a day early, which we may have to do, Brad. It's like now 6 days, there's like 10 days worth of info, right?
There's always so much happening in software from 2022 to 2025. It's just been a constant flow between the top 10 or so companies with great software, great changes. It's a great time to be learning about what's new because there's so much that's new. Oh my goodness, it's hard to keep up, man.
For sure. And I think, just all the timelines I feel have to increase. I was speaking to some of my cybersecurity friends. There was just RSA a few weeks ago. Normally they could say, okay, got it. We'll wait till August when Black Hat happens. Now it's like, no, you can't wait that far because major things are going to happen. So it's pretty exciting. I think, including Claude 4 that had come out right when we, I think, completed last week. Um, Claude 4 is pretty amazing.
It is. I'm reading my tech news from today because literally there's new stuff every day, and I'm learning this right as we're talking about it. But I guess now there's an improved voice mode with Claude.
Oh, wow.
um there's so many main companies between the large language models, which we'll say for anyone's benefit, which is ChatGPT, Claude from Anthropic, Gemini from Google, Perplexity, which is like a Wikipedia style. There's now Grok, there's Meta. There's combination ones like Manus and Ithi or Poe, and then there's the other one that Alan Smithson uses that's like Manus. Do you know which one I mean? It's like an agentic. There's so many of them.
It's not a GenSpark, right? So I
It's
think
GenSpark. GenSpark, that's the one. There's those softwares. Then there's I know what I want to talk about. Going through this list, I want to talk about Otter. I want to start with Otter. Can we start with Otter?
please go for it.
So for some of you who've been watching, we talk about using a voice recorder. Now, a voice recorder is something you can use on your phone just by clicking the button. You don't have to be in a meeting, a Teams or a Google Meet or a Zoom call. You don't have to be in any kind of situation. But for many of us that are on some form of video chat regularly, we use a recorder. And the value of using a recorder is it captures a transcript. And then the transcript becomes usable in any format you can think of. And one of those softwares is read.ai. There's Fireflies, and I like Otter. It's just the one I've gotten used to. I've used a couple of them. I know there's different ones, but Otter, I think they just hit some big milestones. David, how much do you think a new software like Otter makes annually? How much income do you think they bring in annually? New
Annually?
company. New company, yeah.
This hot space, 8 million?
I think it's 100.
Wow.
Okay. I think it's 100. I was reading this blog the other day, which where are we? May 27th. Let me see if I could get it on my, I don't always want to bring up my Gmail. And I know some people said, Brad, you should be more prepared when you do these things. But honestly, there's so much that changes between when you sit down to check it out. Here we go. Okay. I can screen share this one. I think if I bring this in here, you can see that. Okay.
Yep.
So this is the email I got yesterday, Tuesday, May 27th. So this is Wednesday that we're airing our Thursday show. So this was 23 hours ago. And there's new things from Otter. So for anybody that's in a meeting and they want to capture that recording and say, here's the purpose of capturing that recording. Sometimes, David, you've seen me do this. I'll be in a meeting. Otter's great for this. I'll open up the transcript while people are talking, and I do lots of listening. And then when I hear something particularly good, I'll just copy a huge block of text from what someone said, and then I'll paste it into a Miro whiteboard or a shared Google Doc or ChatGPT or all of the above. So the other person can see their natural flowing quote. So much in social media and mass communication, what happens is people try to sound different than what they are, and it never sounds as good. And they're like, why don't I sound as good? It's natural when you're in conversation with someone. If I went to write this script, I would not sound this fluid. It would not sound this good. And if I transcribe this into a post, it would be like, gosh, Brad's voice is so natural. It's because it is. It's a secret, and I'm going to share that with you for anybody that's learning how to communicate well on social media or anything. Have a live conversation. Use one of these softwares. Read, Fireflies, Otter. I'm sure there's a fourth, fifth, sixth. Some of them are free for a great amount. So what they're doing now is they're introducing meeting types. So if I go to Otter, which we booted Otter out of the meeting that we were in, right?
Right.
Which is the latest filming. Because we said, oh, the thing with some of these tools is they show up on screen when you're on YouTube. We didn't want that. That's fine. So we just booted it out right away. Can I get it's like, what do I want to actually show on? Maybe I'll show this one. Sometimes I don't want to show these things on YouTube, but you can see at the top here, right? So
Yep.
I'll zoom back out so you can see it. Brad's meeting notes. At the top, it says template, general. These are new templates. So you do this after the meeting has happened. You tell
Mm.
it if it was a team meeting, a one-on-one, if you were interviewing a candidate, if it was for research, it's a team stand-up, or if it's different kinds of sales calls. And what it will do is it will change the summary, right? The summary will change before your eyes. It's pretty cool. What I like now is there's a smarter Chrome extension. So if you're using the Chrome browser and you click, I went to I get this as an email, but I also went to the blog for Otter. But I think if you go Otter Chrome extension, there we go. You can see it's from Otter.ai, right? And they've upgraded it. So now, while I'm talking to you, I don't know if you can see up here. I don't think I can zoom in on the browser itself, but there's a Chrome extension, right?
Oh, yep.
Can you see this right here? It says
Yeah,
record
yeah.
and transcribe audio from this tab. What that does, David, that's new is
Mm.
I could be watching a YouTube video and I could really like it and it doesn't have a transcript. And I'm like, what did they say? It was brilliant. I want to share this with my friends. Anything you're watching, and this is a free Chrome plugin, you just click that button and it will make a transcript for you of what you're watching.
Amazing.
Right? Because think about how many times you're doing something and you're just like, oh, I just want that little piece. That's right there. That's cool. So you can turn your Google Meet into a transcript, right? So you can capture impromptu calls without a bot present or transcribe any media from every website. So that's what's really cool.
That's
Um,
great.
and this is what I was saying, just so you can appreciate how big these companies are. It says we just hit $100 million in annual recurring revenue. So they're making $100 million a year. Or there's a $2 million a week software, right? And what they now have is new AI agents. With sales agents, you get real-time coaching. So real-time means it's happening while you're having the meeting. And they're going to be coaching you on your sales goals from an agent inside the call. And it's for you and your representatives during customer calls. Or you can let the Otter sales development representative agent, all these acronyms, David, you got to learn so much stuff,
That's amazing.
right?
So
So
then
you
you
can let
could,
your agent handle your live product demos with prospects anytime. And you can try it live. It's not going to be perfect. It's early days for these things, but it's
that's
pretty
crazy.
cool.
That's cool. So then I'd imagine you could just have your agent sales force working with you on follow-up and all these things.
Yeah. Yeah. And not only that, David, if you were the sales manager, you'd have a transcript of what was being said.
Yeah, exactly. Does it have,
It's really neat stuff.
yeah, right, it does. And it just seems like all of these products keep leapfrogging each other, right? Because, the one I love, and I've been using Read AI, how they have like the coaching, so I can go back in and how long was I talking, or my salesperson, how long was the client talking, were there questions being asked, what types of words were they using, that type of thing, which I know they probably have within Otter, but now Otter has all these other things too, and the agent stuff. That is very cool.
So this is what you're talking about from we switch software here to read.ai, and
Right.
then you get the custom coaching metrics, which, like you're saying, it makes a difference when it tells you, do you interrupt people?
Right.
Right? Do you talk too fast? Like, here's your talking pace. Are you
Exactly.
using non-inclusive terms, interruptions, questions, filler words, charisma? It's there's so many of these neat features on all these softwares. But let's look at Claude 4. Claude 4 came out 6 days ago. I think it came out just like, I think Claude released Claude 4 just after we aired the latest.
Right. I think while we were wrapping up, I think you might have mentioned it for crazy.
So for anyone that uses Claude, and by the way, you can use Claude for free. They've had Claudes 1, 2, and 3. So those are the models. It's just like saying the iPhone 10 or the iPhone 12. They named two of their models Opus and Sonnet. It's like code and language. Don't get hung up on these things, right? They're fairly comparable. So these new models, what they can do is they can perform more complex tasks, right? And it's a significant upgrade to their 3.7. Better coding, better reasoning. Let's just show what we did. If I go to Claude, right? We were like playing around with this. Let's see. This here we go. So Brooks Wood, he was like, what if we just said, and this is his prompt directly, he just pasted it in, create a clone of Candy Crush. So if anybody knows Candy Crush, the video game, Candy Crush has a freemium model, so it's free to play, but people all of a sudden pay for upgrades. I mean, the value of Candy Crush, what do you think the value of Candy Crush is going to be, David? How much do you think Candy Crush is worth?
Oh my God, it's got to be a billion.
Right? $20 billion.
Jesus.
Right? It was acquired by Activision for so they sold it for 6 billion, but their lifetime revenue was $20 billion. Just so people who don't know Candy Crush can appreciate, this is a massive, massive game, right? And then with the new Claude from 6 days ago, we said create a clone of Candy Crush. And then Brooks's description was very visually engaging, right? He used 3 words, not that descriptive. Look amazing, really fun to play. Okay?
Yeah.
And then it made it. And then you can play it. Right? I learned how to play this game. You have to match 3 things in a row. So I have to find something with 3 things in a row. Like this donut. 1 donut, 2 donuts. If I move the lollipop and the donut, boom, it worked. And then the candy bars worked. And the lollipops worked. And the cookies worked. Right? And all of a sudden my score went from 0 to 320. And if I move 1 donut here, now my score is at 360. You get the idea, right?
Incredible.
So I thought, what if it could do Tetris, the very popular video game? My only instructions were now Tetris. I typed in 2 words. I just said now Tetris, right? And now I'm making this. Okay, I'm making. I gotta move my cursor here. I'm playing the game here. So when I toggle the arrows, right, I can move it to the left. I can move it to the right. I can just 2 to the left, 2 to the right. I've got this orange one. I can put them back to back. Right, and I've got the square. You get the idea. I made Tetris, David, with 2 words. I just typed in 2 words. I said, now Tetris. Like the change in what's available is mind-blowing. That you took a game that made billions of dollars and said, hey, I'd like that and make it look good. That's all you said. You don't have to say anything. And then you go, now Tetris. Boop, there it is. There's an evolution in designing mobile apps, websites, programs. You do not have to have taken years of computer science. You have to have a very basic understanding of what you want.
Yeah, and I love, Brad, how you are minimal prompting, right? Which we talked about yesterday when gave me my coaching on that. Because it's almost like, and then I see what Evan's doing with the video stuff where he's got these 5-page text prompts, right? But I think it's either that or just put in a couple of words because let AI use its power to think. If we're putting in kind of a few lines, then we're kind of restricting what it's thinking about. So that was really valuable. And I love what it did on the WITI membership page. I used a similar strategy, right? I mean, that was great.
Yeah, for listeners who don't know, yesterday David and I had a call about his workforce innovation business, WITI, WITI, that hosts this channel. And I said, let's look what Claude can do. We put in some information about his business and a very simple prompt. David, I mean, like, I don't know, a few words. Can you even quote it? It was a few
It
words.
was make real or something. What did you say? Make it or something.
Yeah, I put like make it. Like we gave it context that we were like, I think we gave a screenshot of your website. And then we gave what we wanted. We said, here is a person whose style is good, like an author on business applications. And then I said, make it. And it's not perfect. It's not final product. That's the caveat. It's not final product. But you gave that to your design team. It was exceptional for the format, for the look, and for the way information was conveyed. So it didn't just say, hey, I offer these services. It was like, this makes sense when I read it, why I would go to this company and why they're going to help me do what I need to do.
Right. And the great thing is just being able to explain it to my developers or my designers. Here's what I have in my head. Now I can actually put a visual down. It worked great when I was able just to email them the artifact, right? And it was yeah, incredible.
Yeah, for those who aren't using Claude often, they've given the name artifact to a shareable part of the Claude large language model. So if Claude makes you a quote unquote thing, like that Tetris or the mock-up of a website, there's a button in the top corner that says share as artifact. And then someone else can use it and then work with it without breaking your copy of it.
For sure. Another thing you mentioned, Brad, was just when create kind of the baseline in ChatGPT, and then I move it over to Claude
Yeah.
and say, like, this is what chat said.
Yeah.
It is kind of almost competitive, like they're working to make it better, as to where I
Yeah.
used to hide it before.
Yeah.
Or not hide it, but just not mention it. So that was great too. That was great too.
Yeah, and for people listening that want to try that as well, between the large language model ChatGPT and between the large language model Claude, both of which you can use for free, Claude and ChatGPT, I take the same prompt and give it to both, and then I give each the answer the other one gave. I might have said this on this channel before. I give them each the answer, and I'll just say, this is what Claude said, and I paste it in. I don't get fancy. And then I say, this is what ChatGPT said, and I paste it in. And somehow the results are better. And then you pick which one is your main one and which one's the buddy. And then you just sort of move back and forth until it's where you want it to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Another thing that think happened, I don't know if we spoke about it on last show. Maybe it had just popped the day before, but I know we're getting into more of the software stuff with AI, right? But OpenAI buying Johnny Ives company for 6.5 billion when we really haven't seen a product. I mean, obviously they probably have amazing things going on in the back, but I think that for future latest, definitely hardware. I know we're starting a whole AI kind of hardware community on things you and I saw at CES, right? Which I was going to mention Monday night when Ken was talking about, video all the time. But do you remember the product that was kind of in the back hall where you could just, it was like a necklace that would just video 24/7 your experience?
Yeah, from Sean. That was Sean's product.
Oh, which one?
Sean, who we were talking to. I know who you mean. I've
Right, right,
got
right.
the video
Oh,
on my
okay,
phone
yeah, yeah,
here.
yeah. All right.
At
Right.
CES, we were at the back of the hall and they had
A little pin or whatever. I forgot what it was called. I couldn't remember. I was going to bring it up.
it's not the show me pin, it's
Had like, I think they're coming out of Cambridge, MIT, somewhere out there. Um, anyway,
I've got him right there.
there he is. Yep. Okay, nice. We'll give him a shout out.
It was the oh, why isn't it on his badge? Oh, you'd think it would be on his badge.
That's funny.
Open. It's because
Open
it's back.
IO something. Yeah. But I'll tell you too, like we saw the Rabbit R1 2 years ago, well, two CESs ago, make a huge splash, sold a ton of them. It's like, oh, what's this weird device?
Lucy
Or
pin. Lucy
Lucy,
pin. L-U-C. It's
thank you.
backwards on my video here, but it's
All right.
L-U-C-I pin.
No, 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 you're absolutely right. So we saw the rabbit, and it kind of it seems like that CES, every meeting I went to had bought an Rabbit R1. Then there's rumors they went out of business, they haven't shipped. I think they're still going, which was that square. It almost looked like a large beeper.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now with OpenAI making that move, I just think it's interesting, and I think there'll be a lot to talk about with the latest, right? Because I think it's chips and silicon, right? Where Grok with a Q has a great solution for that. There's other things coming out. I mean, just imagine all the stuff we don't know about. But anyway, I just thought that was one of the big moves from the last week in AI, that it's like, oh wow, that's kind of different, right? Than a lot of these others that are just a better this or a better that.
Yeah. And because I know we got to wrap up in a minute here, for
Yep.
anybody that didn't see the previous week's episode, the latest, Google has released VO3, VEO3, and the quality of video has reached, I would say arguably it has reached hyper real. That when you're watching a 6-second clip, because the pace of modern television and social media, you're only viewing 6 to 8 seconds at a time before there's an edit and the camera angle changes or the time changes, which is to say someone has said, okay, skip over to here. We're accustomed to watching 6 to 8 second clips, and the quality in those 6 to 8 seconds of this VO3 equals that of real life. When it's on your phone or on your screen, it's very easy to not know that it was entirely AI generated. So just be aware that I would think from May 2025 and forward, when you're watching something, you might have to say 50-50 chances made by AI.
Right. No, totally. And just to wrap, because I know we got to go, couple things. First of all, Notebook LM, and I'll show some of it next week, how I've been using to coach some of my clients before they have a meeting, an interview, right? Because what I'm driving up to San Francisco for today is a dinner we're hosting with WGU, and it's really about imposter syndrome, right? That's kind of the overall frame. But I think people walk into these meetings. I use Notebook LM for my clients to say, here, I'm going to do this. Let me get a podcast about you. I want you to listen to it several times a week to kind of remind you how great you are, right? And I think, these different things for AI are things too. And some of the things we forgot about because they happened 6 months ago and that's so far away. But I think, bringing some of those things back, right? Just like the song we have on the catch up, which
Yeah,
fortunately, we have to end a little early today, but we do have the catch up in 3 hours.
yeah,
What will we be? And it's AI catch up live. So here we're kind of giving you things looking forward, a bunch of the new things, but then we want to take it easier on your brain, or maybe it's just a different part of your brain, because at the catch up, we're really going through one application or product a week,
mhm,
right?
yeah.
What do we have for today, Brad?
Well, it's the fundamental skills. You're right. It's the fundamental skills. It's catching anyone up, but in an intelligent way, in a very professional way to say, here's the baseline. I think because the chat's been happening with Brooks, I think we're going to show Claude, the software that we talked about today, but at that fundamental level, like if you've never seen it before, but we're going to respect you. Like I'm sure you've seen other software before, you just have never seen this one. And
Right.
if we didn't mention Napkin.ai last week, Napkin.ai has new features. Did we talk about
Oh,
David? We do about five. You and I do about 5 or 6 AI hours a week. So it's like, which one do we talk about where? But if we
right.
didn't mention it, we'll talk about it next week. Napkin.ai has new features.
Love that. Let's do that. And the catch up maybe is for people entering. I still learn new things from you, from Brooks, Harvey, right? Michael. So it's just like I think everybody has to go into these things with an open mind, because even Gamma at our last week's Gamma session, and I'm a Gamma ambassador,
Yeah,
there were things I was like, oh my God, I didn't know you could stick a background on it. I didn't know you could do this. I didn't know you could do that. But that was a
I
great,
learned that too. That was
right?
new to me. I was like, oh, I've never seen the full bleed background.
Yeah.
Um, that's the latest for today, everybody. It's a short episode on a different scheduled date. David's got to drive to San Francisco. Um, Always great sharing the latest.
Okay, Brad, have a great week. See you later. And that's it, everybody.